Hello everyone, how are we doing? How are we? Are we ready for Brazil? We are qualifying on a Friday night. Apologies. I've literally just got in the door, was playing football, went into extra time a little bit, and then we've darted in, but we're ready to go, even if we are, just in a Roma kit for no real reason. Lovely to see all you guys here. Lovely to see lots and lots of people in the chat too. Charlie, how we doing? Swax, Zuma. I never know how to say Doobie. Ovani, Mia, how we doing? How are we doing? Because it's going to get very, very exciting today. I don't know whether the sprint races just add a little bit of extra emphasis to the weekends, but I do love a sprint race weekend, even if the sprint race isn't usually, like a vintage race in itself. But I do like a sprint weekend. I think Friday qualifying just adds that little bit of extra to the weekend. And, I'm not a huge person for. Oh, wait, am I still muted? No, I'm not muted, am I? Am I still muted? No. Yes? No. Maybe? Oh, dear. How? Is this plugged in? No. I can't be. Am I? No. I'm not. Oh, goodness gracious. I have qualifying the England game. Oh yeah, the England game is too. Yeah, that is very true. I forgot about the England game this afternoon or this evening. But we've got a little bit of everything, haven't we? And already Sky are talking about team orders. Obviously, after last weekend with Valtteri Bottas going and changing his tyres, what was it, like 3 times to try and get that fastest lap at the end of the race. Do I think Alonso has any chance of getting a podium this year? He's the only driver. Actually, I'll pop up the Drivers' Championship. Actually, have I updated the Drivers' Championship? This is the thing. The Drivers' standings, because, as I said, I literally just dove through the door seconds ago, so let's just double check that one is correct. Yeah, we'll pop up the driver's standings. And hello, Sally. How are we doing? It is just very, very close, and every single point counts. Like, we had Valtteri Bottas literally steal 1 point off Max Verstappen. That is how much they care about this championship and about every single point that Mercedes were willing to, pit 2, 3, 4 times, however many times it mattered, to get Valtteri Bottas across the line with a fastest lap. And we even saw Max Verstappen trying to slow down Valtteri Bottas, trying to get in his way, causing blue flags, all those kind of things to try and slow the Mercedes down, because every single point matters. And there are more points up for grabs this weekend. There's 3 points for the winner of the sprint race, and 3 points could be huge, especially in this Drivers' Championship and in the Constructors as well. We'll delve into the Constructors in a minute, but my goodness me, Verstappen leading this championship by 19 points, 1 race, and it could all turn on its head. And I think, by the way, we've got Lewis Hamilton with a 5-place penalty. Mercedes again with their engine causing them problems, causing them issues. They thought they'd solved it. We've been talking about it over the last few weeks. They thought they'd solved it. Now suddenly some little niggles are starting to creep back in again. So maybe, this could be the downfall of Mercedes. 5 places at this point in the season is a lot of places. The Ferraris are going to be quick. The McLarens, I think, are going to have a better weekend than they did last time out, or the couple of races before, really. McLaren have been a little bit off it for a couple of races now. I think they'll probably be back. I think, Brazil suits both of their drivers quite nicely and suits the car quite well too. So Ferrari going to be quick. McLaren are going to be quick. Obviously, Perez is going to be there to cause some issues for Hamilton as well. It's going to be so difficult for Hamilton to, let's say he qualifies first, but starts in 6th place. He is going to be starting behind those guys, and it's going to be really tough for him to get anywhere close to Max Verstappen. I think they've decided to go for it this weekend, though, over the other weekends, just because he has got the sprint race as a little bit of a buffer, I guess. So he will take that 5-place penalty, but he's got the sprint race to, try and pick up at least a few points and maybe use that as a little bit of a buffer. Maybe we'll see some other drivers starting from the back of the grid, or some people get the sprint race wrong, and it could lend itself to Hamilton just that tiny little bit. Must win for Hamilton? Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. We want an Alonso podium Sunday. Yeah, he's that was what I was doing. I was going to say he's the only person in this top 10, and actually all the way down to the top 12, that hasn't picked up a podium this season. You have to go all the way down to Lance Stroll before you get to the next driver who hasn't had a podium this season. So, he's been maybe a little bit unlucky. Obviously, had that 4th place and edged so close. He's had a couple of 6th places as well. He's been in and around the top 3 a few times, but I don't really think, that as I was saying, Ferrari are just getting quicker and quicker. Mercedes are like doggedly going for this Constructors' Championship and Drivers' Championship. So are Red Bull. It's going to be so close. If he's going to get a podium, probably is going to be this weekend. Because I could see sparks flying, and Brazil just always turns up. As I put in the description, it is just a quintessential race. It's just one of the Formula One races that you can't have a season without Brazil. It feels odd to have a season without Brazil. And obviously, when I was growing up, Brazil was the final race on the calendar as well. So it always sort of came to a head in Brazil. And Brazil was sort of a celebration of the final race and the whole season. I know that that's slightly changed now. We've got 3 more races after Brazil this year. But it does still have that feel for me as just one of those homes of Formula One. And on top of that, I'm kind of a little bit upset that we don't have a Brazilian driver on the grid. I do love a Brazilian driver. Again, I'm not really sure why. I'm not Brazilian myself, but I do absolutely love a Brazilian driver on the grid. And I've dedicated the thumbnail to this one, obviously, to some of those Brazilian drivers that I've seen and looked back over and watched quite a lot of. But it is a shame that we don't have a Brazilian driver. It does just feel, there's a little bit added to the grid if we have someone from Brazil, or at least someone from South America, which I don't think we've got on the grid this year, have we? I'm just double checking because I feel like I might miss something. We've got quite a few from, North America. We've got Sergio Perez from Mexico, a couple of Canadians. Like, it's very dominant European drivers. Obviously, we've got Daniel Ricciardo, Yuki Tsunoda from, the right-hand side of the map, I guess. And Mazepin, I guess, as well. But yeah, it is lacking just that little bit of Brazilian flair in the grid for me. And there isn't really anyone coming up in the next few years that I think is going to get a Formula One seat, unfortunately. But maybe, maybe in a few years, we'll have another Brazilian driver come in. But I'd love to know your favorite Brazilian driver, like Senna, Massa, Barrichello. They're the 3 that come to mind for me. Massa in particular, just because, as I've talked about before, my first season really watching F1 was that Brawn season. But because that Brawn season was so up and down, I did watch quite a few races from the seasons before. So I saw, that Hamilton-Massa battle and Massa at Ferrari, and then obviously the travesty with him getting hit by that spring as well. It was just I don't know, Massa just gripped me as a driver. His storyline was phenomenal in Formula One. The fact that he came back and that he was so close to winning a Formula One World Championship at his home Grand Prix as well. Like, I don't know, that Massa story does need to be told. And I know that we've had the Senna documentary. I know that we've had the Schumacher documentary. And maybe Massa isn't, next on the list, but I think would be a really good candidate for that kind of insider information, look back at his career. And I think in a few years' time, we could see a documentary about that kind of stint in Formula One, where Hamilton won his first title, Kimi Räikkönen won a title as well. That sort of that turning point, the post Schumacher era, I guess, or between when Schumacher left and then came back again, I think is like a very special time in Formula One. But that might just be because I was getting into Formula One at that point. But I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. Well, we had the Glock-like moment at the end of the season. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, Brazil has these moments, these incredible things that have just happened in Brazil, and it always seems to deliver. I've probably jinxed it now because we've got a sprint qualifying and a race to look forward to. And I've probably jinxed it, and it's going to be like a damp squib of a race where, like, I don't know, nothing happens. But I've gone mental with my predictions. I can't remember. I think it was Menev that I saw go absolutely crazy with his predictions, and he got them in just before I was about to do mine. I was like, you know what? I'm going to follow suit. So I've gone mental. I've gone off the wall crazy with my predictions. I think, as I've just realised, I haven't actually changed the graphic. I think that we're going to have an absolutely mental race. I think sprint qualifying is going to mix up the grid massively. And I think sprint qualifying in and of itself, with that mini race, we could see some collisions in that mini race. We could see some people really drop back, or some people, struggling. This is also the sort of point in the season. You've got to remember, last year we only had 17 races, and now we're, going a little bit more. It's just one of those things where I think if we saw some collisions, or if we saw some people having technical difficulties, I think this might be the one. I think this might be the race that we see it. So I've gone off the wall. I've gone absolutely crazy with it. I've gone Leclerc winning this race. Ferrari have looked excellent, and Ferrari just seem to get better and better and better. I think they're even bringing some tiny marginal upgrades even to this race after they've brought upgrades previously too. I've got Gasly in second place. Am I biased? Yes. But he has got a podium here before in a Toro Rosso. It was back then, actually. I was about to say AlphaTauri. It was a Toro Rosso. But he is slotted in second place. Let's give it to him. Lando Norris have gone for third. Because again, am I biased? Yes. Does Lando Norris deserve another podium this season? I think so. Does Lando Norris deserve to, come fifth in this Drivers' Championship? On reflection, Ferrari have stepped forward so much, but I still really want to see Lando Norris come out on top of that battle. And obviously, I'm a little bit biased. As a McLaren fan, I would like McLaren to come third in the Constructors' Championship too. I've gone for George Russell best drive. It feels like a George Russell time. He hasn't had the best of races or qualifyings in the last few, and that seems crazy because we hold him to such a high standard. He's been pretty good considering he's in a Williams, but I'm going to go for George Russell best drive of the weekend. I've gone for wildcard Yuki Tsunoda. Again, chucked in a driver that I feel like is coming through, is coming forward, and is stepping up into the shoes that he needs to fill for next year at AlphaTauri. He's going to put Christian Horner behind him. He's going to have a wild race. He's going to come out and get a podium or something mental by the end of the season and basically just put two fingers up to Christian Horner. And then I've gone for Max Verstappen as the struggle of the weekend. I think, with this top three, I had to pick either Hamilton or Verstappen or Perez as my struggle, because this is definitely not going to happen if Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen finish the race or don't have really, really poor or really, really terrible issues throughout the race at some point. So I've gone wild, I've gone crazy, but that's me. I've decided that Brazil is the weekend to just absolutely go for it. It's Samba season, and I've absolutely just thrown it to the wind. Hello, James, mate. How are you? We're due a good race. I really, really hope so. Jim Brown. What's up, little bro? Jim Brown. Interesting. Do you think Gasly stands a good chance at this race for a race win this year? Ooh. Probably not a race win. For me, he's right up there now. So I've said recently, or I've said in multiple videos that I think Lando Norris has been the best driver this season on form. Don't get me wrong, Max Verstappen has been absolutely phenomenal. But I think the things that Lando Norris has been able to achieve in that McLaren early on in the season really did stand out to me. And I thought he was incredibly good. I think Pierre Gasly is edging towards that top three drivers of the season. If you had to pick your top three drivers of the season, let's do this in the chat. If you had to pick your top three drivers of the season on form, so obviously you don't have to really take into account the drivers or constructors, you can take it in a little bit if you want, but the top three drivers that have just performed absolutely astonishingly, for me it would be Lando Norris, Pierre Gasly and Max Verstappen, with George Russell so close to those three. I think they just have been head and shoulders above everybody else in terms of the car they've got, the points they've delivered, the performances they've delivered. And, they've got a little bit lucky Sorry, a little bit unlucky, especially Pierre Gasly, I feel, has been really unlucky at points this season, but is absolutely just another. I was going to say a different gravy, but that IP is taken, so we can't take that. I'm afraid. Winner Max, second Hamilton, third Leclerc. I like that you chucked Leclerc in there. Best drive always Alonso. Love that. Love that. London and F1 will turn to India. Ooh, I don't know. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Watching the interview, very dark clouds in front of turn one. Ooh, let me have a look. I haven't actually got the stream up in front of me yet because I've just been enjoying having a little chat, to be honest. George, Pierre, and Carlos. Yeah, Mia, George and Carlos are right up there as well, aren't they? There's been quite a few drivers this season that have really upped their game. Like, I think the quality of drive this season has been really, really good. And I think, that's why in 2022, they haven't changed the grid too much. So, like, Mercedes have made a change. And then Mercedes effectively forced Williams to make a change. I don't think Williams would have made a change had Mercedes not taken George Russell. Like, they'd clearly have wanted to keep hold of George Russell if they could. And then Alfa Romeo, I guess, are like the team that are making the big changes this season. But again, kind of have been forced by Mercedes and Kimi Räikkönen retiring. So I feel like if Kimi Räikkönen hadn't retired, we might have seen the same grid next year as we did this year. I don't know if we'd have seen any changes. Maybe George Russell is the one, right? But I think, if Kimi Räikkönen wasn't retiring, I think Alfa Romeo probably keep him on for another year. I don't think they, shuffle him out of the way. He has been pretty good. He's picked up 11 points this season. Like, if you look at where Kimi Räikkönen is, he's ahead of a Williams. Yes, George Russell has been, this phenom as we've sort of talked about. He's right up there as one of the best drivers this season. Carlos, Pierre, and Russell. Maybe I'm underestimating Carlos a little bit here, because Carlos would maybe be my 5th or 6th choice for driver of the season. Little bro, just me, my internet family. Oh, sorry. No, you just have a name that is very similar to someone else that I know. And I was like, is that him? But he doesn't like Formula One. But also, he is like older than me. It wasn't an analysis of you. It was analysis of could you be who I think you are? Was what I was going for. Who do I think will be the driver to replace Hamilton once he retires? My goodness me, that is a hell of a question. It depends who's available, right? It's one of those things where it's not just which drivers would Mercedes like. It's, are Mercedes still title contenders? Are Mercedes still, right at the tip of the grid? Because if they're still at the tip of the grid, when you replace Hamilton, you get your pick, right? Pick anyone up that you want. It's like saying Alfa Romeo, who would you replace Kimi Räikkönen with? You wouldn't say, Charles Leclerc will want to go to Alfa Romeo, or even like Alonso or Ocon or someone like that will want to go to Alfa Romeo. But I reckon pretty much every driver on the grid would want to go to Mercedes right now, because they are at the pinnacle. They're right at the top of the grid. And, it's one of those seats that is illustrious and really wanted by lots and lots of drivers. So it depends where Mercedes are. We've got 2 years of Lewis Hamilton left if he sees out this contract. So it could go either way. I think if Mercedes is still a top team, I think Pierre Gasly could be a really, really good shout. But also, we don't know who's going to come through in F2 in the next couple of years. Like Yuki Tsunoda was in F3 a few years ago, like even F4 a few years ago, and has just shot his way all the way through to the top of the grid and, through to F1 in an AlphaTauri, a midfield team. I know that he's obviously got the Red Bull franchise behind him, but it doesn't take too long sometimes. If you are good enough, you're kind of old enough and you step forward. Like Max Verstappen came out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere. He was incredible in his junior career, but still came through at a very, very young age. Like Mercedes might just go for that as well. There might be another wonder kid that we don't really have a gauge on yet that's about to like really step up and show and take that place for Lewis Hamilton. It's so tricky to guess who is going to take that place for Lewis Hamilton. Like them to bring Hulk back one last chance. That would be nice. That would be nice. Isn't he going to... he's off to IndyCar, is he not? He had a little test in the McLaren IndyCar, I think, last time I heard any news around the Hulk. He was there. Didn't say Lewis or Max as best driver of the season because they're already at the top. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's difficult. Like, I don't think Lewis has had a good season, to be honest with you. I think on reflection, if you take all of the races, there's lots and lots of mistakes in there for Lewis Hamilton, which is not the norm. Like, he barely makes mistakes ever. But there's been quite a few this season, and I don't think it's been, a vintage Lewis Hamilton season. I think even if he does win this World Championship, it'll maybe be looked upon as not a lucky championship. I don't really know the words, but a championship that he made a little bit more difficult for himself than maybe it could have been, should have been. So, I don't know. It's one of those things. Oh, Hulk decided not to go to IndyCar. Oh, Mel, that does change things. That does change things. I would have quite liked to see him in IndyCar. Do you think he'll just be another test driver next year? That is a shame. A Schumacher and Mercedes if Ferrari stick with their current lineup. Ooh, I like that. That's a good shout. Again, it depends. If Mick gets that Ferrari, I feel like Mick Schumacher probably... Although saying that, Michael did have that stint at Mercedes. And it is a German team. It's a German driver. I don't think that's a terrible shout at all, actually. And kind of one that I wish I'd have thought of myself. Because it would have made me look a lot more intelligent than I was. But yeah, Schumacher at Mercedes kind of makes sense. Michael was there before. He probably knows a few of the people in and around the paddock there. He's probably, seen Michael at Mercedes at some point. I know he'd have been very young, but he would have maybe, gone to see a few people, and I suppose lots of people have changed, but it's one of those things. He has got a link to Mercedes as well as Ferrari. Just the link to Ferrari is a little bit stronger. Like, if you think Michael Schumacher, you do think Ferrari as opposed to thinking Mercedes. Like, the Mercedes was kind of a bit of a flash pan, wasn't it? A flash in the pan, sorry, not a flash pan. A flash in the pan where he just sort of came back for a little while and then disappeared again. It was just sort of a little bit sudden. He recently had a kid. Okay. Imagine Lewis retiring with McLaren. I don't think it's going to happen. I think as much as he likes McLaren, I think he'll stay at Mercedes. Like, Mercedes have been the team that's delivered him the most world championships. Like, I know he got the one at McLaren, but Mercedes have just delivered him constantly a championship-worthy car, and he's taken it every single season, apart from obviously that Rosberg season as well. When Hamilton retires, Rosberg will get back in a Merc. That would be good. That would be funny. Yeah, Porsche, another German brand, German driver. That could definitely work. I agree, Lewis not had the focus this season. I don't even know if it's the focus. There's just been quite a few mistakes from Lewis Hamilton. Oh, my goodness me. Yeah, the broadcast is starting. I should get that up in front of me, really. And what am I looking for? A little bit of rain clouds at turn 1, somebody said before. Behind Christian Horner's interview. Let me have a look. Lando for the win, only with a mad race. Yeah, I feel like we've got to be bold with these predictions. Oh yeah, I should inform new viewers about the delay. That is a good shout. There is a tad delay just because of YouTube, so you might be a little bit ahead of where I am, but I will pop up a timer when qualifying does start for me, so that you can see where I am and adjust your settings accordingly. Let me get the timer up, actually, so that I can start that as soon as the qualifying begins. Oh, it has been raining today already, actually, in Brazil. I haven't really caught up with any of the practice stuff, unfortunately. Here we go, then. Let me get this little timer up. Timer's ready, raring to go. And Lovely stuff. I do like that we've got qualifying and the sprint as well. I'm very much looking forward to the sprint race. Lando's birthday tomorrow. Hope he pulls it out of the bag. I mean, the Mercedes just hasn't been great in and of itself, has it, recently? But yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully so. Maybe Seb to Merck? Ooh, as a second driver to Russell. Yeah, that could... I feel like Mercedes would quite like a German driver in the next few years or so. Eternally underrated Carlos. Antonio, I'm sorry. I love Carlos Sainz, who was at McLaren for a little while. I absolutely adored him. I still do adore him. I still talk massively about Carlos Sainz. I absolutely adore the man, but I don't know. He's not quite there for me in comparison to some of the other drivers on the grid this season. And I know that's so harsh because he's in a brand new team as well. Well, we'll see. By the end of the season, there will definitely be a video ranking the 20 drivers from best to worst. And I'm sure it will be incredibly disliked because any opinion piece might as well, it's 50-50, obviously. Or any video that you make about Mercedes or Red Bull, because all the Mercedes fans are like, yeah, he's talked positively about Mercedes, give that a like. All the Red Bull fans like, nope, dislike that. Or vice versa. If I say Red Bull have had a really good weekend, Red Bull fans are like, yeah, love that. Mercedes fans are like, absolutely not, dislike that straight away. Hamilton will show today why on paper he beats Schumi. Oh, goodness. Slipstream can do a 1 yeah, and 2 DRS zones as well. Like, it is one of those tracks that does lend itself to having a really, really good race around here, isn't it? Like, I always look forward to Brazil. Always look forward to Brazil. Seb is going to retire around Hamilton. Maybe he's a little bit younger. A little bit. And could go a little bit longer. I feel like Seb has, moved towards FIA, stewarding, even helping out Aston Martin and becoming like a director of some kind at Aston Martin. I feel like he's got that in his future, hasn't he? I think as soon as he leaves F1, he'll be straight back on the grid in some form or another. Maybe not as full on as being a racing driver, maybe not at every single race, but I feel like he'll definitely be there. Talk proud about Red Bull and I'll give you stream a thumbs up. How are we doing on likes? We're on 10 likes already. My goodness. We're flashing. We're flying. As we're looking at Max Verstappen, ready and raring to go in this qualifying session in the Red Bull. For any of you guys that are new to Formula One, you just need to not be in the bottom 5. 20 drivers on the grid, and we're going to whittle it down over the next 20 minutes or so to 15. Sorry, I was just looking and trying to take in. I think that is Charles Leclerc getting ready and raring to go, and Carlos Sainz as well. So yeah, both the Ferrari, nearly getting each other's way as they come out. So the Ferraris are going to be first on the grid, and let me pop a little timer up for you so that you can align yourself with me in terms of the qualifying session. As soon as they pop the time up on their screen, I'll pop the time on my screen. How much of a delay is there on my end? Not very. I'm pretty much watching it live. I am watching it live. It's just the YouTube automatic delay that they put in for any kind of streaming, so that if I say anything that could get me cancelled, they can just cut me off before anybody actually hears it. I could say something incredibly offensive, and then you'd never hear it because YouTube would just cut that off. Well, no, I think Haas will finally turn it around, start scoring points. I mean, you'd really hope next season. They've put all their eggs in the next season basket, haven't they? They have gone absolutely everything that they possibly can do to get next season, going. They have done nothing on the car this year. It took them 15 races to get a seat that Mick Schumacher actually fit into. They have done nothing with this car this year. So we're expecting quite big things from Haas. if you've done nothing in 2021 for an entire year, then you've got to level that up a little bit next time out, right? Oh. Here we go. Qualifying is underway. Oh, I didn't start the timer. That would be a good shout. And now the time has changed. I'll start it at 15:55. Here we go. 16, 59, 58, 57, 56. Bang. There we go. Oh. Yeah, line yourself up. Best not get cancelled at 4K subs. Yeah, probably not the best. Probably not the best. Sometimes check Discord also. I have been checking Discord a little. I've been on the group Discord. I haven't checked my DMs, to be fair. I'm very, very sorry. I imagine you've probably DM'd me about the video that we've been talking about. Yeah, it's been a hectic week. Hectic week. So I will be catching up on a lot tomorrow, I'm sure. Like, as I said, I haven't watched any of the I haven't watched any of the practices or anything at all. And I didn't see any of the driver interviews either. So I've got a lot to like catch up on top of watching a little bit of qualifying today. Here we go then. Carlos Sainz just a tad quicker than his teammate. 3/10. Is it Carlos Sainz's turn to be the better Ferrari driver? Like, they do seem to take it in turns as Gasly goes across the line and just absolutely makes me eat my words. 4/10 faster than Carlos Sainz. Mick Schumacher, not too far off the pace. Like, only just slower than Leclerc. Although I'd imagine Leclerc's got a lot more in the tank. And Mazepin, 1.2 seconds off Pierre Gasly. So that could be quite a lot off of the rest of the grid. Although Mick Schumacher currently a little bit faster than Nicholas Latifi. It's not a vintage Latifi lap either in the Williams car. Oh, you have another video idea for me? Throw them my way, mate. I've got a big list. I feel like I should, I don't know. I feel like I should share like the list at some point. But also, I like having the list and then you have a little surprise here and there of a video. Like the video that I made today or made yesterday was a bit of a, I don't know, spur of the moment. I was like trying to think of videos for this week and I was like, actually, when are Alfa Romeo going to tell us this 2022 grid? Because please, like, I need to know what the grid is going to be for next year. And if they could hurry up about telling me that, that would be perfect. Mainly because I want to do some videos on the 2022 grid, but I want to make sure that it is completed before I delve into, you know, I feel like I'm going to rank each of the drivers and then rank the teams too, which was something I didn't do this season. I kind of wish I would have. Like just ranking the driver pairings, I guess, would be quite nice. As Max Verstappen goes fastest in the first sector. Like, do we expect anything less at this point? Lance Stroll goes a 10th faster than Gasly with 13 minutes left on the clock. And Giovinazzi splits the Ferraris. The man with a target on his back. Lando Norris, though, goes fastest. Yeah, Giovinazzi. Oh, I was about to say, doing quite well getting in between the Ferraris. Kimi Räikkönen's just gone 3/10 faster than Giovinazzi. Sebastian Vettel goes 4th fastest. We've got Verstappen and Perez actually coming around. Verstappen does go quickest with a 1 minute 9 second 0.3 lap. Sergio Perez, can he do any better? Not quite. Actually slots himself 3rd behind Lando Norris. It was a purple middle sector though for Sergio Perez. He's looking more and more comfortable in that Red Bull every single weekend. I'm quite excited for Sergio Perez next year, to be honest. Whoa, my goodness me. The sparks coming off Max Verstappen's car. Absolute, like, that has got to be just destroying the underside. But, like, that underside, it's weird that Formula One cars have that underplate, which is effectively designed to spark. Like, it just seems like obviously, it looks incredible, and it makes Formula One look so much cooler. But, like, it's just a bit of a strange thing to have. Also, we haven't talked about the fact that this is a very short track. So we're going to see loads of traffic. Like already we're seeing Lewis Hamilton there weaving through McLarens and AlphaTauris trying to find his way to the front of the grid, and an Aston Martin as well. Just trying to, weave through basically everybody and anybody that is out on the track to try and find himself a little bit of space is Lewis Hamilton. He is now coming around the back straight. A little bit of DRS down towards the line for Lewis Hamilton as well. I feel like we're going to see loads of overtakes down into turn 1 this weekend. It just feels like it really suits the sort of style of Formula 1 car that we've got at this moment in time in Formula 1. So who's left to set a time? Hamilton yet to set a time. Ocon is out, but also yet to set a time. Alonso also. Why do Alpine always leave it so late? And then Yuki Tsunoda also the final driver not to set a time as of yet. So those 5 are the bottom 5 at the moment. Hamilton, Bottas, Ocon, Alonso, Tsunoda with 10.5 minutes to go. But isn't the underplate like a... Yeah, that's what I mean. It's in the regulations. They have to have it. But like, it's basically there just to spark. It's just there to spark, effectively, and make things look cool. Lewis Hamilton absolutely flying 3/10 up on Verstappen. Obviously, we're only in Q1. Don't bet on Lewis Hamilton just yet. We saw Max Verstappen absolutely rattling it around in Mexico. Then when it came to Q3, not quite getting there. But Lewis Hamilton, 0.5 of a second. He does have like a connection with this track, doesn't he? I know that he's a massive Senna fan. He's obviously got the helmet this weekend dedicated to Senna as well. But I don't know. And obviously won his first world championship here. But I don't know. He does just have this sort of click when it comes to Brazil, I think. And I think we could see something special from Lewis Hamilton this weekend. Although he has got that 5-place penalty. As we see Nikita Mazepin, getting all out of shape, doing a little bit of a wiggle. Does really well, actually, to catch the rear end of that Nikita Mazepin. It was all over the place. Tank slapping, left, right, left. Does a little shimmy with the steering wheel and manages to just about catch it. Does Nikita Mazepin. And the Haas car just, it like jiggles and wobbles unlike any other Formula 1 car. I don't know whether it's just like bias because I know it's a Haas car. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem right to me. Lewis Hamilton has set the fastest sector time in each sector as well, I just realised. Like, I knew his time was good. He's 5/10 up on everybody. But he's like well ahead in every single sector too. So it's not even like there's one sector where Verstappen can actually, maybe stand head and shoulders above Lewis Hamilton. He's just absolutely frying. Isn't it to make the minimum ride height? Yeah. So the underplate is there, and obviously all the boards underneath too. Is that Ocon coming through? It is 7th place for Ocon, not too bad. So we've got Mick Schumacher, Latifi, Mazepin, Alonso and Tsunoda though yet to have set a time. So let's see how they do. Yuki Tsunoda coming around now. Pierre Gasly's going to come across the line first, though, for the AlphaTauris. And goes third. Goes ahead of Valtteri Bottas. And puts himself into the podium positions, does Pierre Gasly. But again, we just have to whittle down. As Yuki Tsunoda goes 4th fastest. Hello, Yuki. Charles Leclerc then goes 2nd fastest and splits Hamilton and Verstappen. People are finding a little bit of rubber now, finding their groove as Alonso comes in and goes 7th place, which drops Sainz down to 2nd. Sainz has just literally jumped into 2nd place. Charles Leclerc, though, has his time deleted and drops back down to 18th. Okay. Track limits at turn 4. Naughty Charles Leclerc goes all the way down to 18th place. Wow. Who do I like more, Hamilton at Merck or Red Bull Seb dominance? Ooh, I don't really like either. I massively like either of those things. Like, I'm not a Red Bull fan, nor am I a Mercedes fan. Like, I appreciate that they've been, at the pinnacle of the sport for the last 12 years. Like, it's been Red Bull. Like, Ferrari have gone a couple of times. They've gone close with Sebastian, obviously, but it's been Red Bull, Mercedes pretty much all the way from then, hasn't it? It's become a little bit, Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund kind of feel to it over the last few years, which I think is why 2022 is so big for the Formula One community. It is a real chance for a massive shake-up in the grid. Is that Charles Leclerc coming in? He's going to have to go out again. He's in 18th place. So George Russell, Giovinazzi, Charles Leclerc, and Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin. Let's have a little look. What happened to Charles Leclerc here then in turn 4? Ooh, it is marginal. It is marginal. So marginal. Like, he's maybe an inch the other side of that white line is Charles Leclerc. And that's put him all the way at the bottom of the grid in that Ferrari. Obviously, there's more than enough time for him to come around again. But just interesting that, I don't know, that time from Charles Leclerc at the beginning seemed okay. But the track seems to have rubbered in really nicely as Hamilton sets an even faster first sector. But quite a slow second sector. I say quite slow. For the Hamilton standard, quite a slow second sector. Still goes faster, though, in the third sector as well. So, really tricky. Please help. I really want to watch Formula One, but I don't have the money. It depends where you live, Mark. There's lots of different ways to watch Formula One, depending on the country that you are in at the time. The best place to be is probably in North America. Unpopular opinion, Mazepin reminds me of 2020 Latifi. Ooh, I'm not sure about that. Not sure about that. Who is Latifi is actually the man on the bubble at the moment. George Russell behind his teammate and in 16th. Latifi in 15th. So, and only just behind Vettel. Ooh. Got to remember that Latifi has not qualified in front of George Russell ever in like a standard qualifying session, has he? So this is quite big for Latifi if he's able to get this over the line. Yuki Tsunoda. The gap to Gasly for Yuki Tsunoda was 3 thousandths of a second. Wow. Yuki Tsunoda's looking really good in that AlphaTauri car. Now, if you can be anywhere near Pierre Gasly this season, you are doing exceptionally well. As Lando Norris is now coming around on the softer compounds too. Here we go then. Lando Norris. Couple attempts behind Hamilton. But, is looking to just improve slightly. Currently sits in 8th place. So we'll probably want to just improve the tad, just to make sure that he is double, triple safe going into the next qualifying round. I feel like he probably is going to be in the next round, even with the time he's got now. But, you just want to make sure. Like Russell, Giovinazzi, Charles Leclerc, you'd imagine all three of those guys are going to put in a good showing for themselves to try and get out of that bottom 5 and into Q2. But we will have to wait and see. Lando Norris comes around with a 1 minute 9 second, only goes 7th fastest. Doesn't really improve that much at all, to be honest. Here we go then. Alonso on an outlap. There we go. There's the man I want to see. Charles Leclerc coming round now. Needs to beat Nicholas Latifi time. He is currently in 15th place. Is 4 tenths ahead of Nicholas Latifi after the first sector. Here we go then. Charles Leclerc. What could he do in this Ferrari? He was absolutely up there. Carlos Sainz, remember, is currently in 2nd place of the drivers out there. So Carlos Sainz, 3 tenths off Lewis Hamilton, which, considering Hamilton's hot laps have been very hot, he has done incredibly well to get even that close. Valtteri Bottas is 5 tenths off of his teammate. But Charles Leclerc here, a little bit slow in the second sector. Not a great second sector from Charles Leclerc. Although the second sector is the windy bit. And now he can just get the power down throughout the whole third sector, basically flat out in these Formula One cars, and goes third fastest. So 10th behind Carlos Sainz. You'd imagine that that'll be good enough. Unpopular opinion. Close racing is bad for the sport. Oh, I'm not sure about that. I like close racing. Not allowed to like both factors. Close is bad. Oh, Mark, that is a very controversial opinion. Very, very controversial opinion. Make a video of your dream grid with drivers' finest forms. Oh, I could do that. Could definitely do that. I feel like there's lots of videos I've got sort of lined up for post-season. Because remember, we've got to fill between December and March. There's no Grand Prix whatsoever. So there's going to be quite a good opportunity to, make quite a bit of content in there. So I've got lots of videos lined up, lots of ideas lined up for things that we can do as a community and can put together over those couple of months. Obviously, we will have all the build up to 2022 as well, though. So sort of swings in roundabouts. George Russell goes 14th fastest. Doesn't really improve too much. Lance Stroll now on the bottom. Sebastian Vettel was in the bottom 5, now goes into 9th as the checkered flag does come out. So Nicholas Latifi is 15th. So Mick Schumacher comes home in 18th place. There's Russell, Stroll, and Giovinazzi could all make a difference here and get themselves out of this bottom 5. Can we see Stroll coming around the final corner? And does improve. Drops Nicholas Latifi down into 16th place. We're also looking at Giovinazzi comes home in 6th and Raikkonen drops out. But then Raikkonen improves on his time and drops Ocon into the bottom 5. Esteban Ocon is going to be out of this session then. He's going around... he's going around the first sector. Here we go then. Ocon does improve. Goes 12th fastest. So knocks Lance Stroll out of contention. So another exit in Q1 for Lance Stroll. My goodness me. New subscriber from South Africa. Thank you for popping by. Love that. Never been to South Africa. Would absolutely love to. There is a stream on YouTube right now. The sound, but no video. Just searched on YouTube. Yeah, there's a lot of people that try and... I don't even know. Try and get around it, but I don't know why. Here we go then. Stroll, Latifi, Russell, Schumacher, Mazepin. Wow. So Stroll and Latifi both out. Russell actually qualifies lower than Latifi. Somebody ring an alarm or something. That's not allowed to happen. I don't think by the laws of nature Latifi is allowed to actually out-qualify Russell on pace. It's just not something that happens. I'll pop it up for you. So, yeah, Stroll, Latifi, Russell, Mick Schumacher, and Mazepin are 5 that are out of the session. I don't even know what to say to that. I feel like the Haas's was expected. The Alfa Romeos were much quicker than I thought they were going to be. I feel like Aston Martin have really just... I don't know. I expected more from Aston Martin. I wanted more from Aston Martin this season. Racing Point did really good last year. I know that they were effectively a pink Mercedes. And they obviously got tagged with that throughout the entire season, as they should do. They'd clearly copied quite a few little bits from Mercedes. But I don't know, at the same time, I was expecting a little bit more from Aston Martin this year, and it really hasn't come to fruition. I'll very quickly put up the constructors. They're nowhere near Alpine when it comes to this point in the season. You got to remember, yes, Esteban Ocon has won a race, but Vettel's got a podium in there as well. Aston Martin is just nowhere, just absolutely nowhere near. Latifi beat Russell. Yeah, I know. I don't know if that's allowed, like by the laws of nature. King Latifi to Merc. Let's step back one moment from that. At this point, I think Stroll doesn't deserve a seat on the grid. Wow. I think he has been pretty poor this season. I think he still deserves his seat. Although I could like if they did like obviously they're not going to get rid of him. His dad literally owns the team. But if they did decide to get rid of him, I could kind of see why or how they might do that. Both Alphas in Q2, yeah, that's what I mean. Alfa Romeo just absolutely popped off and well, much quicker than I was expecting. Williams also quite a bit slower than I was expecting. So expecting George Russell to maybe, come up with one of his signature performances. I know it's not the best track for Williams all in all, but I figured like George Russell's quality might shine through in the kind of track like Brazil. Who do I think will be Alpha's choice? Probably Zhao at this point. He just brings so much monetary gain for the team. And I know that they don't massively need that. But it is a really big help going into next season. With obviously the first ever season with these new regs. We've got the driver the spending limit as well. So I think Zhao's probably got one foot in the door at this point, hasn't he? Stroll isn't that good. Okay. People say Seb isn't very adaptable. He's better in Aston Martin than Stroll. Yeah, he is definitely. Yeah, I was sort of trying to think of like Vettel's top 5 races versus Stroll's top 5 races like this season, and Vettel's are definitely much better. Aston is struggling because their car's a Merc copycat, and unlike Merc, they don't have the expertise to change things. Oof. Slating Aston Martin in the chat now that Lance Stroll has dropped out. We haven't still got an Aston Martin in, Sebastian Vettel did make it through. So he's there. Red Bull is sandbagging. Yeah, maybe, to be fair. Maybe. Just trying something different. Here we go. Got a stream idea for me. Go for it. Absolutely throw it my way. Anything and everything. I'm more than happy to take it into consideration. And if it's something I can do, I will try and implement it. But there are a few things I cannot. Trick's only few races left. Oof. What was the order of the top 15? I don't really bother with the top 15 at this point because like it's going to change drastically anyway. Hamilton was absolutely by far and away the best driver out there. The Ferraris were pretty good. The AlphaTauris were also very, very good in day. The Red Bulls were a little bit slower than I expected, to be fair. They were sort of dropping down to the mid to low grid positions. It's still in the top 10, but, maybe a little bit lower than you'd expect. Ooh. Yeah, Lance Stroll makes quite a few mistakes, actually, here in Brazil. Right now we're on Discord. Either or's good. Oh, sorry. Where's my timer? Q2 has begun. I was looking at the Q2 like timing sheet, and then I was like, oh, I should do that. And I just didn't. Here we go. 40, go. There we go. A hot tub stream. Maybe. I just don't feel like it would suit me overly well. I don't feel like I've got the appeal of some of the other hot tub streamers that are out there in the world. Putting it delicately. I didn't realize Max Verstappen had a special helmet for this weekend either. I literally saw that maybe, like an hour before the stream actually started. I didn't realize he had a special helmet for this weekend too. I know Hamilton always does the Senna tribute, but I didn't realize that Max Verstappen had done one too. Has anyone else done one? Is it just those two? Just those two, I think. At least from the ones I've seen. As we're looking at Sergio Perez. Nobody out on track from what I can see so far. And we've had a couple of minutes now of Formula 1 in Q2. And everybody's just sort of hanging around, having a little chat. The Ferrari guy's not even looking towards the track, leaning on some tyres. Charles Leclerc's not even got tyres on his car. So, nobody's really fussed about going out as of yet. Here we go then. Kimi Räikkönen. Just having a little chill. Having a little relax. Get people on your... Yeah, I would really love to do that. I would really love to do that. I need to work out a way of it, working well. And getting Discords to be, a bit sort of a... Oh yeah, Bottas has the coffee bean helmet too. Which I also think is quite cool. Like, it's obviously a good message about like how to sustainably source coffee and all those sort of things, but it is quite a nice helmet too. I feel like it's got to have that balance between. I'm going to do a video later on in the season with like all of the helmets, and I'm going to try and rank all of them. It's going to be a long video, but I feel like I'm going to have to, maybe put a little bit of a disclaimer for like the special helmets for charities or events and things like that. Because, I can't really like slate the helmet if it's literally been designed to show awareness for sustainable coffee, or, the Alonso helmet, which was literally done because there was a massive disaster happening in the world. Like, makes sense. I can't really slate that. Can't be like, that's a terrible helmet, because it makes me look awful. Hamilton and Bottas are out though. Here we go. People are actually coming out with 11 minutes and 10 seconds left to go. We've got a few people actually coming out on the grid. My goodness me. And everyone's actually coming out on the grid. We've got an AlphaTauri behind, an Alpine, a McLaren, a Red Bull. Another AlphaTauri coming too. Yeah, Max and Hamilton, tribute to one of the best Formula 1 drivers to have ever lived. Bottas tributes coffee. But at the same time, as I said, is a little bit of a good message. Just trying to work out who's where. So we've got, the teams haven't really come out together. The Mercedes have come out together. Then everybody else has kind of split off into their own little sections. We've got one AlphaTauri, one Alpine, one McLaren, one Red Bull, before we then get our next AlphaTauri. Then we've got our one Aston Martin. Sebastian Vettel doesn't have the opportunity to have his teammate with him. Why would Lewis Hamilton take a grid penalty in Brazil? He needed to replace his ICE, which is a part of the sort of power unit drivetrain. And he had to do that because Mercedes' power unit has just been so like flip-floppy over the last few weeks, hasn't it? Not even the last few weeks. It's been a little while now where the Mercedes car and the Mercedes engine just hasn't quite worked how they'd have wanted it to. Hasn't been overly consistent and has had quite a few problems as well recently. So a little bit tough for Mercedes and all of the Mercedes-powered cars, to be honest with you. I think McLaren are the only team that are Mercedes-powered that haven't had like real issues with it. Aston Martin had some real tough issues with their Mercedes power units. Forza Roma, Forza Ferrari. Yeah, I'm Italian, obviously. No, I did buy this in Rome, though. I did go and watch Roma, and I did buy this in Rome. So I do enjoy Italy. I haven't been to Monza, unfortunately. I wish I'd have been to Monza, because It's the home of Formula One and Ferrari, basically, isn't it? Or not the home of Formula One. Monaco is kind of the home of Formula One, isn't it? Home of Ferrari, most definitely. But yeah, Ferrari. I didn't manage to see anything Ferrari based, unfortunately, when I was there. I did see Roma though, so I got my Roma top. Went to Venice as well. Very nice. As Gasly goes fastest, Lewis Hamilton has his his time deleted because of track limits again at turn 4. So turn 4 is the one to watch at this moment as Verstappen goes 3 tenths quickest. Who was it in the chat that said, have a little eye on Verstappen? Could just turn it on. Seems to have found a little bit of pace in Q2. And lots of people actually going onto the... I suppose actually because they've got the sprint race, they don't need to worry about qualifying on the tyre they're going to start the race on, do they? I was going to say, lots of people on the soft compound tyre, not the norm in Q2. Usually in Q2, we see lots of drivers go towards the medium compound tyre. But a little bit different this weekend because of the sprint race in the middle there. And Lewis Hamilton, as I said, his time deleted. So he is going to drop all the way down into the bottom 5. Remember, he has taken a 5-place penalty as well. So very interesting indeed. Although I don't imagine he will drop out of qualifying unless he does it again. If he does it again, then we're in a little bit of a worrying time for Lewis Hamilton. How much is Sky if I want to just buy F1? Mark, I have no idea. I have not a clue. Here we go then. Verstappen into the pits, the fastest man out there. Pierre Gasly second, Charles Leclerc third, Valtteri Bottas fourth, Carlos Sainz currently 5th fastest, Ricardo, Perez, Alonso, Norris and Ocon make up the top 10 right now. So it's Yuki Tsunoda, Sebastian Vettel and the Alfa Romeos that are dropping out. And of course, Lewis Hamilton in 15th, but has yet to have set a time. Is now coming around again, though. And as I said before, you know, in Q1, it's all about not being in the bottom 5. Q2, exactly the same. Again, we're going to lose drivers from 11th through to 15th. So we're going to be filling in like this proportion of the grid. Wherever that is. I can't line myself up with it. Wait, is that even the right side? That is the right side. Yeah. The next 5 is what we're gonna do. Yuki Tsunoda, Vettel, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, and Hamilton. Those out at the moment though. Hamilton's just gone fastest in the middle sector and goes fastest overall as well. So Hamilton does just turn up when he needs to, doesn't he? You know, 2 tenths faster than Verstappen now. And even with a time deleted, even with some tyres that have been rubbered in a little bit, does just do the business by a tad. Ocon, Tsunoda, Vettel, Raikkonen, and Giovinazzi then. By the way, guys, I'm just saying, I'm honoured to be part of such a wholesome group of people. Well, I'm glad you enjoy it, mate. I appreciate it. We try and do our best around here. Put together as much as we possibly can. And, Lewis Hamilton, a little bit wiggly. Was that in there? That's turn 4 again. I think Lewis Hamilton just maybe gets on the throttle a tad early. And the back end tries to step out. He manages to just hold on to it. A little bit like the Mazepin incident in Q1 as well. Although much more controlled from Lewis Hamilton there. Not so much of a tank slapper going on in the Mercedes car. Russell's out. Yeah, Nathaniel Russell is indeed out and was out qualified by Latifi. So Russell really not having a great weekend. Like, just struggling, I think is the only way that I can really put it for George Russell in terms of qualifying. Has got sprint qualifying and the race to make up for that, though. And, I can see George Russell making up some places in the sprint race in particular. Gasly, then. Is he going to go out? No. He is 4th fastest at this moment in time. Sergio Perez only 8th fastest, and in contention for one of the drivers that could drop out into that bottom 5. Alonso and Norris just behind him too. So Ocon, Tsunoda, Vettel, and both of the Alfa Romeos will be looking to improve their times and knock out one of those guys if they possibly can. So 3 minutes and a bit left of this session, and again we're just waiting for any kind of movement on the track. It is quite a short out lap, to be fair. You only need sort of a minute and a half or so to get a good out lap in, and we're going to see Alonso be first in the queue out of the pits. Here we go then. As I said, there's going to be quite a bit of traffic. It's a short track. You know, they all need to find a little bit of space for themselves. And there's going to be a little bit of traffic. Be honest, would it be sustainable for you to make this your full-time job? It's completely fine if you don't want to share. At this moment in time, no way. No, absolutely not. No, I wish one day. That is the sort of dream, I guess. But at this moment in time, no. Well, you kind of know how much I make every month because I buy a piece of equipment every month that is worth about how much I make. So, like when I bought this microphone, it was, you know, the Formula One or like the YouTube account. I've made a bank account separately for this, and like it was that account. It was like chuck all that money at this microphone, and then the next one was like chuck all that money at a Stream Deck. So you effectively know how much I make every month just by looking at things that I'm able to purchase. Which I think is like an open and honest way of answering that question. Here we go then. Alonso is going to be the first man across the line. Will have just about enough time to do 2 laps if he fancies it, with a minute and a half left to go once he crosses the line. And let's see then. So Alonso, as I said, is going to have enough time to do 2 laps. Probably going to be the only one that does have enough time to do 2 laps. Possibly the AlphaTauris that are just coming around too. But everybody else starting to wiggle around sort of turns 10 and 11 and try and find themselves a little bit of space in the traffic in and amongst turn 11. So, loads of traffic actually in and amongst. Alonso, nowhere near Hamilton's time, but it's not about that at this point. It's about being in the top 10. Do I agree with 24 races next year? There's 23, but also I think maybe it is a tad too much. Or like if we are going to do 23, it's the absolute limit I think there should be. As Alonso now has to battle through the traffic. Obviously, those other guys setting themselves up for their flying lap, but actually causing Alonso a little bit of a headache as he has to come through that section of the track. I'm not sure he's going to improve too much on this lap time. Doesn't improve at all. 9th fastest from Alonso. So is at risk. Yuki Tsunoda is one of those men hoping that he can drop Alonso out. Yuki Tsunoda coming around the final corner then. Just goes past the pit lane entry and across the line. And can't improve as well. Yuki Tsunoda is going to... Oh no, Yuki Tsunoda's just gone over the line. Just enough time. Esteban Ocon goes 10th and drops Lando Norris into the bottom 5. The checkered flag has gone though. Charles Leclerc, first man across the line to go 4th fastest. Vettel, can he improve? Does improve, but only goes 12th. Does Sebastian Vettel. So Vettel is going to be out of this session. We've got Lando Norris in 11th at this point in time. He needs to improve on Esteban Ocon's... Oh, here we go. Just about go 7th fastest. Drops Ocon back down into that bottom 5. Kimi Räikkönen could be the man to drop Alonso out of this session, though. Can Kimi Räikkönen improve on his time and knock out his former teammate? He's coming around the final corner. Kimi Räikkönen across the line. And it's not going to happen for him this time around in the Alfa Romeo. So it's Ocon, Vettel, Tsunoda, Räikkönen, and Giovinazzi. Hello. Some races need extra laps. Wow. I mean, I think it's the timing, isn't it? They have to sit within a certain time. So like you just basically do, oh, okay, the race has to be X amount of minutes long. Each lap is around about this. Therefore, we'll do this many laps. Like, I don't think I don't think they really decide on the laps amount as much as they're sort of like, oh, okay, it has to be this length. Ocon, Vettel, Tsunoda, Raikkonen, Gio. Ocon. Why have I done this from the top down? That was a terrible idea. Ocon, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Vettel, and Tsunoda have dropped out, unfortunately. So we've got our bottom 10 then for our sprint qualifying. Ocon, Vettel, Tsunoda, Raikkonen, and Giovinazzi did manage to get themselves into Q2, but no further. And then Stroll, Latifi, Russell, Mick Schumacher, and Mazepin dropped out in Q1. So now we're at the business end, ladies and gentlemen. We are into the top 10 shootout. Again, this is the top 10 shootout. Wherever they come in this top 10 is where they will start in tomorrow's race. So no more knockouts as such, just the 10 fastest racers so far, all trying to land themselves a pole position for the sprint race. Hello, mate. Morning. Sorry you're late. No worries. I appreciate that you've just woken up. It is an odd time for a race to be happening, or at least for me. Like, feels like evening races are not the standard as a European. Although I feel like I'm very, very lucky indeed. Can I see you? Yes, Mark. But I just don't know, Mark. I don't know. I don't know what the best service is to watch Formula One in England. I don't know. I just pay for my own. Why is 24 races too much? It's just a lot for the teams to handle. Like, you gotta think there's only 52 weeks in a year. You gotta take like 3 months of that out because the teams actually need time to like prepare the car for the next season. Also, you've got the summer break in there, which is about a month as well. So you're slowly whittling down this 52 weekends to not many. And then you've got to try and stack all of those races in. So you've got to think, like, the teams, within the last 5 days, they've had to take everything, like cars, people, equipment, all of it, from Mexico to Brazil. That's a lot of stuff. And they've got to do that again, like the next 5 days again after Sunday. They've got to move everything from Brazil to Qatar in not 5 days, in like 3 days. Like, it's a huge strain on the logistics that we have. 57 weeks in a year. No, 52. Pretty sure 52. Now you're making me question myself. Pretty sure it's 52. But yeah, the logistics behind it and the pressure on the teams, the drivers, like, we've got to remember, these drivers put themselves through torture at times throughout these races. The G-forces that they're experiencing, they're boiling hot. Even in Austin, where it was scintillatingly hot, they're in a full race suit inside a car with an engine blaring away literally 40 centimeters. Don't know why I went for centimeters. 40 centimeters behind them. It's a very, very hot sport for them, let alone everybody else doing their jobs around the teams as well. That's why Ferrari, McLaren, and some others didn't have their cars. Yeah, it's just a massive, massive logistical nightmare. 24 races, nothing. It's not like football or basketball with one van load of equipment. Yeah, exactly. It's an entire, well, I mean, we call it the circus of Formula One for that reason. It is entire, like, village of people, effectively, that we have to get to another place. Like, you could make a small city with the amount of stuff and people that, have to move every single time Formula One goes from one place to another. And it's not only like the team, like, obviously the teams and that, those personnel are probably the most important to the sport, but you've got the media, you've got continual, fans, you've got so many things, so many people to move in such a short amount of time. and then perform at the absolute pinnacle of motorsport. It's a lot. It's a lot for them to do, and I don't envy any of the guys out there. They do an incredible job and are so consistent with it as well. That is very, very, very impressive. Here we go. Oh, Mazepin. We're seeing a replay from Q1. Where did he make a mistake? Oh, he made a little mistake. But Haas being quite nice to Nikita Mazepin. His lap time was awesome until that little mistake. He does seem actually quite upset with himself. Bless him. I feel sorry for him at times, you know. He does get a really hard rep at Haas. And I don't think it helps that, you know, the Haas car is just terrible. Absolutely terrible. What am I watching on just the Formula One like website? He's from the UK and supports McLaren. That is true. Plus, drivers have to do 200 signatures. Also, like every week. Yeah, exactly. They've got like the press. They've got just loads of stuff going on. Another video idea. Throw it my way. DM me. I haven't actually got my phone on me. Like my house could be on fire. We don't know. Because I've got nothing on me to connect me to the world other than you. You guys are keeping me sane at this point. And Formula One. I have got Formula One in front of me. Can't really complain, to be honest with you. You don't need a phone. When you've got Formula One, you've got you guys to have a chat to. What more do I need? Absolutely nothing. Here we go then. Q3. Should I get the little timer ready and ready to go? Oh, I've just realised that I've left the checkered flag up underneath. Just in case, guys, you wanted to know. Q2 had finished a little while ago. And here we go. We are... Q3 has just begun. 12 minutes of the session. And we need to start the timer. There we go. Again, though, we're going to have to wait. I feel like we're not going to have... The first couple of minutes of every session have just been quiet. Nobody wants to go first. Mick and Nikita friends. It's so difficult to tell. Like, sometimes, like, I think they're maybe, like, joking about each other, but then sometimes in the cars, some of the radio messages between the two of them are pretty, I don't know, pretty savage. And I don't think, you know, I don't think they're friends. I think they understand that they are teammates. They're going to be teammates this season. They're going to be teammates next season. So they might as well get on with it. You know what I mean? Like, they're stuck with each other. And that is the way it's going to be. So I feel like they've sort of, instead of deciding whether or not they like each other or not, they've just decided, you know, just to mutually be like, we're in this position. You know, in a few years' time, we can maybe talk more openly about one another. But for now, we just have to be civil and work together. You must have someone like that at your work, right? Everybody has that guy at their work that is just a little bit, you know, you just don't get along with. But you know that you have to work with them every day. So, like, there's no point in making an argument about it or, you know, coming out to the press and being like, I hate him. Because it's just going to cause you aggravation later on down the line. 10 minutes to go. Nobody on the track. Is everyone just going to go for a 1? That would be interesting. If everybody just goes for a 1er. Which is something that lots of people want to see in Formula 1. Lots of people think that we should just have a, you know, one lap policy for qualifying. Just everybody goes around once, sees what they can do. Well, Charles Leclerc is going to be first to come out with 9.5 minutes to go. And Carlos Sainz, it looks like, is going to follow suit. He is indeed. The Ferraris coming out first then. Quite a bit of a gap between them. Although I suppose there's not really an area to give your teammate a toe. Like, there's not a massive toe advantage around here in Brazil. So separated themselves out a little bit as the Mercedes come out 2 by 2. I think that's Max Verstappen as well, just behind the Mercedes. But here we go. And Lando Norris just behind him as well. Oh, Sergio Perez actually came out just in front of the Mercedes as well. And I think Gasly is out too. Gasly is indeed out. Alonso's out. We're getting there slowly. Oh my goodness me. What are the Mercedes doing? Just going down this hill as slowly as they possibly can. Slowly as they possibly can. How old do you think your audience is? I mean, I literally have YouTube statistics on how old my audience is. So I kind of know. Unless like people lied when they created their Google account, I guess. I have a fairly good... I mean, they're about my age, which kind of makes sense. Because we have similar interests and similar ideas about Formula One. Yeah. Sort of like 20s is the average. 35. Mad. Your coverage is 2 minutes behind. Yeah, that's YouTube for you. Yeah, that's the YouTube delay for you. Like, you'll see that I read that comment as it popped up, and you'll see it in a few minutes' time. Because that is just how the YouTube delay works, unfortunately. Charles Leclerc, then, the first man to come across the line, and does so. Let's see what sort of times these Ferraris can put together in Brazil. Here we go, then. Oh my god. Charles Leclerc really having to fight through the field here as well. Having to get through both of the McLarens whilst he comes around on his flying lap. I think Carlos Sainz has pretty much nailed this from what I can see. Because Carlos Sainz won't have to deal with any traffic like his teammate Charles Leclerc has had to. Charles Leclerc does come across the line fastest, but also first. Lewis Hamilton sets the fastest first sector of anybody so far, but Max Verstappen is just behind him, but can't quite beat him in the first sector. The second sector is going to come up very, very quickly for them, though. As I said, quite a short lap around here, just over a minute or so, under a minute 10. So it is a quick one. Lewis Hamilton coming through this second sector does look pretty tidy through here as well. Carlos Sainz actually goes 4/10 faster than Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc really did struggle to get through that traffic. Alonso also goes second fastest and ahead of the Ferrari of Leclerc. Gasly comes across the line, goes fastest of everybody by 0.02 of a second. Then Perez takes pole from him, but Lewis Hamilton is across the line and goes 7/10 faster than Sergio Perez. Bottas can only slot into second place, which is then abruptly taken by Max Verstappen. So still 2.5 tenths between Hamilton and Verstappen. Obviously more than enough time for those guys to get back into the garage, maybe tweak a couple of things and have another go. But Hamilton at the moment looking like the man to beat. Verstappen second place, Bottas in third, Perez in fourth. So the Mercedes and the Red Bulls locking out those first two rows. Gasly finds himself on the third row of the grid. I mean, where else would you find him? Gasly would be like a terrible Where's Wally character because he's always in exactly the same position. He is fifth or sixth continually. Carlos Sainz is sixth, just behind him. Lando Norris seventh. Oh, Verstappen complaining a little bit about tyres overheating as he's going around the final few corners. It is a tricky sort of final sector. After a very bendy second sector, you can get a lot of heat into your tyres in that second sector by leaning onto them quite heavily. And then obviously you need those tyres to sort of come back to you as you get into the third sector. Alonso is currently 8th fastest. Ricciardo in 9th fast. And Leclerc, bit of a non-time for Leclerc though. Ended up hitting a little bit of traffic. Went early, obviously went first of everybody. Nobody really wanted to go first. Charles Leclerc was the man that just, blinked first, I guess. And sort of came to the realization that maybe it was a poor choice from him because ended up just catching up to everybody else who was gearing up for their laps and hit a little bit of traffic. 4 minutes or so to go in this session then, and everybody's coming back into the pits now. Going to change up their tyres, probably a fresh set of softs for everybody. And let's see what we can do in one more lap. So pretty much everybody's going to have one more go at this. And we're going to have the shootout to the line. Yeah, Verstappen just saying that his tyres probably sort of fell off towards the end of that lap. So possibly having a little bit of an adjustment on the front wing can maybe rebalance the amount of downforce, the amount of, temperature that they put through those tyres. But I doubt there's too much that they can do at this point. As Pierre Gasly is in the garage and looking ready and raring to go, heading towards 3 minutes now, and this is about the time I'd imagine people are going to start coming out. So again, who is going to blink first? Sergio Perez looks ready and raring to go. So does Max Verstappen. But when are they going to let the drivers go? Who wants to be first out and first across the line? Here we go. The Alpine of Alonso is out on track. The Red Bulls also coming out. The Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Everybody trying to come out at around about the same time. Carlos Sainz, just came out behind Charles Leclerc as well. The AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly shuffling in behind the Ferraris. And then we've got the Red Bulls, then the Mercedes, and the McLarens at the back of the pack then. So let's see what they can do. Couple of minutes left. We've got our outlap. And I don't think anybody is going to have enough time to do two. It's going to be one lap for everybody and see what they can do. Wow, that grandstand is absolutely packed to the rafters. Even without a Brazilian driver, there's just so much love for Formula One in Brazil. You've got to respect the guys for coming out. Doesn't look like the most beautiful of Brazilian days either. It looks a little bit overcast, possibly a little bit cold. But they've turned up in their droves. Here we go then. Alonso coming around turn 14 now. One more corner before the start-finish line. And he is going to begin what is our run to the final checkered flag. Here we go then. The Ferraris are going to be next in line as people are trying to shuffle for position again through sort of turns 9, 10 and 11. Just trying to find a little bit of a gap, some space for them. But you don't want to miss out. You don't want to be too late because you might miss the checkered flag. And especially if you're Lando Norris or Daniel Ricciardo at this point, you cannot afford to miss that checkered flag. Currently running 7th and 9th respectively. Here we go then. Max Verstappen also comes across the line and starts his final attempt to get in front of his title rival in Lewis Hamilton. This is it. Lewis Hamilton going through as well. We can get the first sector times. Verstappen a couple of tenths down on Hamilton's best time already. And if Hamilton can improve as well, that is going to be very difficult for him to be catching up. Hamilton can't improve on his own time, though, in the first sector anyway. Alonso does come across the line, but it's only fast enough to stay 8th fastest. We've got Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc next up as well in the Ferrari. Charles Leclerc manages to put himself 5th fastest of everybody, but all but Alonso have... Oh, as Carlos Sainz goes 4th fastest. So outdoes his teammate, does Carlos Sainz, and will start just ahead. Pierre Gasly goes 4th fastest. Of course, it's Pierre Gasly. And Verstappen comes across the line. It's only good enough for 2nd. Sergio Perez does bump himself up into 4th place ahead of Gasly and Sainz. Lewis Hamilton does improve on his time and goes fastest again into the 1 minute 7 seconds from Lewis Hamilton there. Norris only goes 8th fastest, does improve, but not by too much. Wow. So Alonso is going to round out our top 10. He's going to start just in front of his teammate. We've got Ricciardo and Norris, the two McLaren's starting one in front of the other, and then their championship rivals, Leclerc and Sainz, will be starting just ahead of them. Oop. Of course, does it just go without saying at this point? Maybe I should just put Gasly at P5 before we even start. Because he just always is on the third row of the grid. It is just where he starts. That's where he likes to be. He decided that a long time ago, and he will be there forevermore. We have Perez, Bottas, Verstappen, nowhere near a scintillating Lewis Hamilton. Nearly 5/10 faster was Lewis Hamilton then. Absolutely flew around this track. Obviously, does have a 5-place penalty. But is this Mercedes' opportunity? Is this Lewis Hamilton's opportunity to maybe do something in this title race? Verstappen, not happy with that final lap. But again, starting P2 could be a lot worse. He's going to literally be breathing down the neck of his title rival into the first couple of corners. And we've got to remember that Lewis Hamilton started in front of Verstappen last time out as well, and that didn't go well for him. So it doesn't mean that, your qualifying position is necessarily where you finish, because Max Verstappen has shown that he can get in front of the Mercedes. Bottas is going to be just behind his teammate Lewis Hamilton, trying to help out as much as he possibly can, maybe going down into turn 1, and especially trying to get in front of Sergio Perez, who will start in 4th place. Pierre Gasly, if he can hold on to that 5th, or even improve on that 5th place, my goodness me, what is this man? What is this absolute legend of Pierre Gasly that we are seeing over the last few races? Carlos Sainz does out-qualify Charles Leclerc, and Lando Norris does out-qualify Daniel Ricciardo in the sort of middle of the pack, but still in the points. And then Alonso and Ocon are sort of just balancing on 10th and 11th place. Although we do have the sprint qualifying as well. Lewis can win this race even with a grid penalty. I massively agree with you. He was so quick then. Just so quick. I didn't expect that much from Lewis Hamilton. I expected, vintage Lewis Hamilton. You expect Lewis Hamilton to turn up, especially in Brazil. He does love this track. But that was something special. That was something really special from Lewis Hamilton there. And he deserves that pole position just by a long margin. He was really good. But the sprint race does spice it up a little bit. Does spice it up just that tiny little bit. So grid drop's made for the sprint grid or the race on Sunday. Because the sprint technically counts as qualifying and not as a race. Because it is sprint qualifying. So yeah, that counts as a qualifying session and not a race, and therefore you don't get the grid penalty until the race. So Lewis Hamilton's going to be looking to win tomorrow. Obviously, pick up those 3 points along the way, and then hopefully start from 6th place on Sunday. And hopefully they can push that a little bit faster. And well, if he started from 6th place, let's drop him down to 6th out of the people that he's got there. He'll be, trying to battle with the likes of Sainz, Gasly, Perez, Bottas, you'd imagine, will let Hamilton through at some point. But it's not out of the ordinary for Lewis Hamilton to maybe turn up and do something spectacular in a race, and in Brazil, a track that he absolutely loves. Let's talk, obviously, the schedule. So tomorrow we have got sprint qualifying, which is a lovely little addition to the week. I do really enjoy these qualifying sessions on a Friday. I know that the sprint qualifying can be a little bit, hit or miss. The one in Monza we had, I thought was actually quite good. The one at Silverstone was sort of 50-50 for me. So this will kind of make my mind up on sprint races or not. This one that we're going to have in Brazil. But we do have a sprint race. And I feel like we should get excited for the fact that we've got a sprint race. And the sprint race is on Saturday, 7:30 will be live. And it doesn't actually start until 8 o'clock in the evening in the UK. Well past my bedtime. And then, of course, we've got I haven't changed any of the graphics this week, is basically what I've learned. Just haven't changed any of the graphics. which is great because I spent ages making them and then just forgot to shuffle them around. Yeah, so we're live tomorrow for sprint qualifying, and then again we're live for the race day. Obviously, a couple of videos this week if you haven't seen them. Talked everything Mexico on Tuesday, and then today I released a video just discussing my thoughts on Alfa Romeo. When are we going to see that driver finally be announced for 2022? Are we sort of still waiting for that Andretti deal? Is that ever really going to come to fruition? And who is most likely to be in that seat next year? Is it going to be, your Zhao's? Is it going to be your Piastris? Is it going to still be Giovinazzi? We'll have to wait and see. Is it going to be someone completely outlandish, like a Hulkenberg or someone absolutely out of left field? Possibly. But yeah, we are live tomorrow at 7 o'clock. And then Sunday at 4:30. We'll have a little chat beforehand. We'll obviously discuss everything and anything that happens between now and then before we jump into the session itself. Final thing before I leave you and disappear off into the evening, into the night. I do have the £100 giveaway that is still going. You've got a whole week if you haven't joined. Really easy to sign up. Head over to the community page, find the link to this, or head over to my Twitter, find the link to this, and there's literally a link, and there's loads of different ways you can enter. You're automatically entered if you're a subscriber to the channel. You're also automatically entered if you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, and then there's a tweet that you can retweet to enter. Loads of different options for you to enter. And every single different one. So let's say, you're subscribed on YouTube. If you want to double your chances of winning, follow me on Twitter as well. If you want to quintuple your chances of winning, figure out and do all 5 of the things that you need to do to enter the competition. But £100 of Formula One merch could be yours as a little bit of a giveaway and a thanks to you guys on my birthday next weekend at Qatar. But as I said, you've got just over a week to enter that, and everything is linked in the description down below and in the community tab as well. So get involved. It's free. You might as well do it. You might win £100 worth of free merch. What's not to love? Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys massively sticking by the stream, popping by on a Friday night as well. Friday night, we're feeling all right. We've got Lewis Hamilton starting on pole position for the sprint race tomorrow. Max Verstappen just behind him. Are we going to see some wheel-to-wheel? You remember the last time we had a sprint race in Monza? They came together a little bit. The time before that, when we had a sprint race, Silverstone, they came together just a little bit. So it could be, the sprint race curse on Hamilton and Verstappen could continue. We will just have to wait and see. As I said, so thankful for you guys dropping by, watching the stream. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have sprint qualifying and the race coming at you with videos in between as well. It's going to be beautiful. I'll see you then.